54 mounts done. It's the next night. All the epoxy's cured. So next step for me is putting this thrust ring in on the end. And the idea is it's going to sit right on this. So this contacts bottom of the mother tube at the exact same time. Top centering ring hits this thrust ring. So they share the load. Basically what I did, or what I will do. Oh yeah, let's talk about those too. For my rail guides, I'm just gonna glue some, what is that, like 1 inch thick hard maple that I had sitting around to the middle of these rings. And the bottommost ring I just kind of notched and then put a relief hole in so the hardware from the MMAS system can thread up into that. And I'll write down what locations these are in, and I will hopefully hit those when I go to mount my rail guides in. I'm thinking now if this one should be up here, or if it should be even higher. We should probably look at the rock sim, or the open rocket file. Well, I can access this one later. If it's up higher, I can do something completely different. These two are inaccessible in the future, so I'm just going to future-proof myself and install these ones. I'll just do those with wood glue. But thrust ring. So 54 millimeter mount slides up into this motor mount. It's going to look something like that. Thrust ring is going to go on top. I've already gone around and done this already and marked where that thrust ring goes. And for now, I'm just going to set this up a 1/4 inch or so. Actually, these work out perfect. And I'm going to mix up some 5-minute epoxy because I have a little tiny bit to use and I don't feel like wasting a whole ounce of my total boat epoxy. And the thrust ring is like arguably not even needed. The original kits didn't come with it, but there was some rocketry forum discussion about it, I think, that like led them to include this. I'm not overly concerned about its structural capabilities, but I figured it came with the kit. I'm going to use it. So let's mix this up. We're going to very carefully, I'll kind of show you the process. So the plan is apply a bead of epoxy here, and then as this ring slides forward, it'll push the epoxy up, versus you don't want any epoxy going down because any fillet or beads there will affect how far up your adapter goes. So best to avoid that. Wood glue. All right. Let us clamp up the mounts for our rail guides. Real scientific. Eyeball it between the fin lines. I don't think I can screw this up. If you don't have these little silicone brushes, you get them at Rockler, like right next to the checkout. They are so worth it. Wood glue doesn't stick to them. It avoids you doing the old finger lick and spread. I just keep one on the workbench and use it all the time. Wet glue goes right on it. Just throw it to the side. Don't even think about it. Glue dries and it knocks right off because it's silicone. Greatest thing ever. If there's a woodworker in your life, that's an awesome gift. Even if they have them, they could use more of them. And really, these just need to like sandwich themselves between the body, the airframe, and the guide. So like, we could really screw this up and it's still fine. It's the world's cutest clamp. And this is our fancy one. What's up, cat? You supervising? All right, anyways. Got my 38 millimeter mount on here. Left this top centering ring loose, right? So now I just put some like number 8 hardware in there, and I can pull up on these guys. I can run a bead of epoxy around the motor mount, pull these up, and then snug them precisely against this thruster ring. And I know it's going to be the exact same geometry as the 54. So we are off and running. We'll get that done real quick tonight too. Well, Heidi ho, welcome to the router bench. I'm going to be assembling that Fincan outside of the airframe, cutting the slots all the way to the aft end and sliding it up in one piece. That way I can do my internal fillets with lots of room rather than trying to reach in between a 5.5 inch and 7.5 inch airframe working in 1 inch of annular space. Anywho, so ahead of actually epoxying these sweet fins on, I'm going to go ahead and put a little round over on them. I thought about this a lot. I was thinking, maybe I'll do 45-degree chamfers. Maybe I'll do some like really sharp 60 or 30, however you want to look at it, degree slices. Maybe I'll leave them square. And I ended up going with roundovers. I believe this is like a 3/16 roundover. Reason being, I'm going to be flying this on ice and it needs a lot of durability, as I've kind of explained before. So sharp 90-degree edges would chip easily. Really sharp knife edges would chip even more easily. So a big fat roundover I feel like is going to be the most durable. And I am not going for altitude. So we're going to set the rotor up real quick, make sure we're unplugged. Yeah, remember that test piece I was talking about? I forgot I had put a smaller bearing on the top of that to give this little like reveal on some other project. So that would have not been fun. So we got to fix that. All right. Well, you may be thinking, oh, Sean, what are you doing on the ground? Well, we're going to make a jig to line our fins up that we're about to tack into our Fincan. Doesn't need to be laser perfect. The centering rings seem like they're going to do a pretty good job. But I just wanted to try to get them somewhat 90 degrees to each other with an honest effort. So this is what I'm thinking of doing. Something like this, I guess. So my hope is I go ahead and tack those fins on, tighten them up with a ratchet strap, set it on this, and as long as I keep the fins to one side of these lines, they should be 90 degrees to each other. We'll see how it goes. So we sanded these nice and flush. Another pro tip, go ahead and measure to the center of each of these. Write that measurement in here because you're gonna forget it. And then this way I can go, okay, if I measure from this center ring 3/4 of an inch up the airframe and 10 3/8 in line with that T-nut, I'm gonna hit the center of these blocks. In hindsight, I kind of wish I had picked done this again so I could mount 10-10 and 15-15. This might be too close to mount them side by side. Maybe not. I don't know, having 4 launch lugs seems weird. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just putting the 1515s on, and if I ever have to fly a 1010 rail, I'll just take the screws out and put them back in, and hopefully I only do that a couple times before they wear out. And once they wear out, I'll just put a wood dowel in and re-drill it, I guess. So, all right, enough yabbering. A little more rocket juice. All right, I've got my ratchet strap. I got my template, which in hindsight, it gets me close, but I'm still gonna flip this upside down when I'm done and put the square on it. I mixed up some epoxy a little while ago. My silica for thickening it still isn't in. So I debated just using wood glue, 1, because I'm just tacking these, 2, adding sawdust to this to thicken it. Instead, I just mixed it a little while ago and kind of let it set for a second. So hopefully it's a little thicker. I don't know, it's still pretty runny. Whatever, it'll be close enough. So I'm going to start with fin number 1. And we'll go from there. And I thought this would be a cool clamp. I feel like picture frame makers do this. The real test is right here. So that's actually really good. These are off. Oh yeah, that's the way to do this particular model. Sweet. So Fincan came out pretty sick. I mean, that looks massive and cool. My colloidal silica finally came in. This stuff, from what I've read, it's like not a real hazard. It can be an irritant to your skin. I don't know, if you've never seen this, it gives off some real like asbestos vibes. Like, this stuff just looks like it's going to give you cancer. So I am actually going to put a respirator on and wear gloves while playing with this. I've never used it before. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to basically use it to thicken my epoxy and see how the fillets for the internal part of the Fincan go. I'm going to do as much of those as I can tonight. I figure I'll do the back half of these 2 forward rings and maybe try to run some beads down one set of fins. And if it doesn't look like it's running everywhere, maybe I'll just keep rolling. I don't know. But a little bit of progress. Gotta break this big project into lots of little projects. So we're gonna play with this tonight. I don't know if you can see that. That's 4 half tablespoons, heaping half tablespoons. So it's what? 2 heaping tablespoons? Teaspoons. 2 heaping teaspoons per squirt. Oh, that's good. Jesus, that was a half hour.
we're going to speed that up. Basically, that's what we look like.